Welcome everybody. This is B&B Movies. So me and Brad are here to discuss and recap the Oscars, the 96 Academy Awards that came on this past Sunday on March 10th. Brad,
Yeah,
how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I love the Academy Awards.
Yeah.
I like the pomp and circumstance. I like shows that really embrace the opulence of it all, the ceremony. I like shows that are earnest and heartfelt, and I felt like for the most part this one really delivered.
So before we kind of get into some of the details, I have some notes of some of the moments and then actually some of the winners and the speeches and things like that. Like, I know you just talked about it a little bit, but what were like your overall thoughts about this particular ceremony?
Jimmy Kimmel is back, and in the past, I have not really enjoyed his brand of comedy for the Academy Awards.
Mm,
He often tends to try to make it like a late night show, and there were elements of late night comedy in this year's Oscars, but I felt it was dialed back a little bit. And of course, some jokes are less successful than others, or
yeah.
more tasteless than others as well. But for the most part, I was satisfied, and I think he did have some highlights. I thought that bit with John Cena was actually rather fantastic,
Yeah.
but mostly because John Cena just nailed that performance.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I don't know. I had a good time. There weren't any like catastrophes, no slaps, no
Yeah.
wrong best pictures being named. Although
Yeah.
I guess we could talk about the best picture announcement
Well,
at the end of
yeah,
this.
we'll definitely talk about Al Pacino.
There were bumps. There were bumps, right? But all award shows always have bumps. But I felt like there were less bumps than usual.
I agree, man. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like the last couple of years, like, and we hear a lot of criticisms from a lot of different pundits and reviewers about the Academy Awards, and people always have their criticisms. And I mean, you're never going to have a perfect show whenever you do anything live, and any award show is never going to be perfect. But for me, watching it last night, I had a smile on my face watching the entire award show. I mean, to me, this felt like it was kind of a return to form. It was funny, like when we did our main show at PGC TV, when we were talking about we did our Oscar preview show. I remember I asked you a question as far as like the 10 Best Picture nominees, does that represent the year of 2023 well? And you said that it did. And I also think after watching this award show represented the year well. I mean, it feels like within the last couple of years, there's been a lot of cynicism around movies and around Hollywood. And sometimes these award shows can come off kind of pretentious. And there was
I mean, I like, yeah, pretentious is the word I was looking for when you asked me earlier. But I kind
yeah.
of like the pretentiousness, and I like this. This show still had some pretension.
But there was a purity, there was a joy to it that I think kind of like permeated to the audience that it didn't feel as pretentious as a lot of the other award shows or as Oscars in the past. Like, I don't know, there was a joy and a love of cinema that I felt that kind of came through that I really, really enjoyed
Well,
watching it.
looking at Jimmy Kimmel's opening monologue, where he highlighted how Hollywood is a union town, and this was a
Mm,
really strange year. We had to stop production, for a good chunk of this year, and
yeah,
so I felt like it was going to carry on that theme a little bit more throughout the show. But I was just
yeah.
kind of glad that they touched upon it a little bit, and I liked seeing those below the line workers up on the stage and getting their flowers.
That was great. I really appreciated that, especially now as IATSE is going through their deal with Hollywood, and possibly going on strike and could start another work stoppage. I think, having that solidarity with them and to bring them out on stage on the biggest night of Hollywood, I thought was really, really nice for Jimmy Kimmel to do that.
Right, but I think that also creates this spirit of like celebration. Like,
Mhm.
let's look at what we have gotten right. And this was a really incredible year for movies. If you look at that top 10, like we said on our Oscar preview show, there really is not a single bad movie in that top 10. And if any one of those films had been named Best Picture, I wouldn't really have flipped a table, right?
Yeah, no, no, not at all. Not at all. Like I said, I thought, like you said, those 10 best pictures were well deserved and worthy of being nominated. And yeah, if any of those would have won, I think I would have been happy. I mean, of course, I had the ones that I was rooting for in certain nominations, and we'll definitely get into that. But I don't want to let's go into before we get into the winners and the nominations, I want to talk a little bit about the award show and like some of the moments that happen in the award shows that I think are really going to kind of stand the test of time. You mentioned it before, and I have a list here, and we may go in order, out of order, but I'm just going to go in order. You had mentioned John Cena, so we get to costume design. And Jimmy Kimmel is talking about, the infamous moment. At first I thought he was referring to the slap, which is something I kind of want to move away from. But he was talking about the moment that the streaker came. I forget which year that was.
It was during the when David Niven was on stage. Yeah.
Okay. And so he said, okay, let's try to see if we can recreate that. And then you see John Cena's head peek out, and then he's getting nervous about coming out. And I got to tell you, man, like the the bravery, the how can I say the balls that he has.
I don't know if it's the bravery. When you look at his body, and he generally gets out on a stage in the ring, buck ass nude, as Jimmy Kimmel pointed out. Now, of course, sometimes he has jorts on, but
Yeah,
jorts don't cover the whole body, right? So, like, I feel like I would not call that brave, but I
yeah,
do think it was one funny and
yes.
two comically timed very well, and
It was
and
perfect,
showcased what a great comedic performer John Cena is. I
perfect.
don't think you can come away from that not going like, like not going like I want to see more of this guy in every sense of the phrase.
Yeah, I was just in awe of just him just being game to be able to do something like that. And it was one of the, like you said, the comedic timing between him and Jimmy Kimmel and the way he just kind of like, sidesteps his way out with the envelope there. I thought all of that was just perfect timing. It was just hilarious to watch.
But the first great moment of the show was the presentation of Best Supporting Actress, where they brought out previous winners. They had like Sally Field and
Mhm.
Jennifer Lawrence, and I remember it wasn't
Yeah,
Jennifer Lawrence
for
at first. Who
so
was it?
no, so that was yeah, so the first award was supporting actress. And I guess yeah, so I do have that on my list as far as like it was Regina King, Lupita Nyong'o, Jamie Lee Curtis who won last year, and two others I can't remember.
I think it was Sally Field was in that group.
She was in the best actress
Was
because
she?
yeah, because I remember because it was when Emma Stone won.
All right. Well, I'm losing my
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah, but I know I can't remember the five, but I guess yeah, let's talk about that because when they did supporting actress, and normally we have, a presenter come out and then they would show clips for each of the nominees before they read off the cards. And when they brought out the five previous winners to kind of give some words to each and kind of speak directly to each one of the nominees. I didn't know if I liked that at first,
Oh, I
especially
loved
opening.
it almost immediately once they
Yeah,
started talking, once they started speaking, directly to the nominees. I found it
yeah,
incredibly emotional, and each one of the nominees seemed to get choked up. It was so good that first round. I was like a little nervous, like this was going to be the longest show ever, and it turned out to be
mm,
actually relatively short and maybe too
yeah,
short. But that sequence, because it was so powerfully emotional and then led to Divine Joy Rudolph winning and
yeah,
then giving
Randolph,
such
yeah,
a great speech.
Beach, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
No, it worked. It kind of just caught me off guard because I was so used to, and part of me, I do like seeing the clips just to see a little bit of the performance. But after that first one with supporting actress, when we got to see some of the other ones, I really started to kind of get in line with what they were trying to do and how it worked. And I think
But
it
none
kind
of
of
them were
worked.
as good as the best supporting actress round.
Well, I think when one of the actors on stage has like a personal relationship with one of
Right.
the nominees, then I think it worked a lot better. There was a few that later in the show, like I loved when Sam Rockwell was talking to Robert Downey Jr. and he said the line from Tropic Thunder about not dropping character into the DVD commentary. I was like, because class, that's beautiful, that's perfect. And Nicolas Cage when he's like talking to Giamatti and he's like with the wearing the glass eye is like, is that something I would have done? He was like, hell yeah, I would have done. I thought all of that was great. So yeah, I think it started to kind of break me down, and I really started to like it as we got to see it more and more. But it was just something different. But I don't know if it's something they'll continue to do, but I thought it was nice for this award show.
Yeah, agreed, agreed.
Yeah, yeah. So let me
I
see.
would like it to continue personally.
You think so? Yeah,
Well,
you
I mean, that's what I
you you
want.
you would like to see that. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I've always been used to seeing the clips, but I think there is something. And another thing that it does too is
But
like,
the clips are terrible. The clips have always been bad. Like they never pick the right scene to highlight the
I
performance.
know.
It's
And
usually awkward. The sound isn't great. Like to me, this creates a personal connection, and if they
yes,
have an even deeper personal connection, it's extremely emotional.
it's
But
extremely emotional.
as you said, even with like Tim Robbins, flubbing that moment with Robert De Niro,
Yeah.
I thought had an electricity to it that a clip just could not.
And it highlights each nominee. You know what I'm saying? Like it gives each nominee their moment. Where a lot of times if you're just watching a 10-second clip and then you just, you cut to them and then everybody claps. Yeah, that's a moment that you're kind of highlighting them, but to have someone speak to them and to speak to, what they mean to them or what they mean to the industry, I think it gives each nominee almost like their own personal like little win in their moment. So yeah, I agree. It like I said, it caught me off guard, but I like the way they actually uh to like how that came off. I really enjoyed that. Some of the presenters. I want to get to there was one that I thought was great. Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling. Now, this was interesting because they were they were basically acknowledging stunt people and they got a movie coming out and it's kind of like marketing synergy with the Fall Guy plus him being in Barbie and her being Oppenheimer and like their little bit about Barbenheimer I thought was really good. But I wanted to go to the stunt part of it because they had this little reel that showed like, it was just acknowledging, stunt performers and things like that. And I'm thinking to myself, I was like, oh, is this an announcement for a new category that's going to be coming? But it wasn't. But I do still like the fact that they highlighted, stunt performers during the show, because that's something that we've been talking about for a long, long time.
I'm hoping it's a step in the right direction, and the conversation around this moment from the Oscars will only, embolden that conversation. I thought it was a little weird.
Oh,
I enjoyed it, but they just announced that they're going to have a new casting category
yeah,
in 2026, and I'm
yeah,
super excited about that because that was a category that has been very controversial for a long time, with a lot of
yeah.
people within the Academy trying to make that not happen. And I was very glad that casting got through, and I'm waiting for stunts to get through, and I'm hoping that we will get an announcement soon, sooner rather than later. It would be nice to get a stunts category going when the casting category is introduced. Of course, the reason why people have resisted, or one of the reasons why people have resisted extra categories into the Academy Awards, is because they don't want to extend the broadcast time. But I did think that they showed this year that they could shorten it
Yeah.
by having less clip shows, right? Less montages. And
Yeah.
this was one of the rare montages that we got. And it was a good one for a good cause. And I hope it leads to something great.
One quick question before I move on to the next moment that I wanted to talk about with stunts. Do you think there's a way to legitimately have, and I'm I'm first, let me just say I'm an advocate for having a category for stunts and recognizing stunt performers. But in the age of digital filmmaking, where we have a lot of green screen, we have a lot of digital effects, and because like voters have to vote on the final film, can they really be able to know what is actually a stunt and what isn't? This is a conversation that I've seen, and I'm just trying to think like, is that
I don't
something
think we're
that's
at that point
stopping?
yet. I don't think we're really at that point yet. I think you can watch a movie like Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning, or
Mhm.
even a movie like,
John
what's it?
Wick.
Well, yeah, like well, John Wick, but even films, like MCU films
Yeah.
clearly have stunt performances happening. Rise of Skywalker has some really great stunt sequences in there, even if the CGI sort of muddies the frame a little bit to discover like, well, who's
Yeah.
actually a stunt performer and who's a digital stunt performer. But
Yeah.
I don't think we're quite there where we
Okay.
can't tell the reality from the unreality. We're
Okay.
very close though, so I do think we need to get this category into the awards, if not earlier than 2026, by 2026.
Yeah, I think we need to do that quickly. Another presenter that I thought nailed it was John Mulaney. When he
Yeah,
came out this
that's my
film.
favorite presenter of the entire
Really?
award show. Yeah, I'm
Oh, talk
glad you
about it.
highlighted him.
Talk
Well,
about it.
he
Yeah.
comes out to introduce the nominations for best sound, and like he nailed the entire setup to his joke, right?
Dude, it
Uh
was great.
like I liked the first bit where he was saying, like, anybody who doesn't like sound in movies, if they're only there to celebrate silent film, that they're like difficult and you don't want to talk to them. I liked that joke because I do know those people. I liked the bit about, the best lines that we hear, you're going to need a bigger boat, and
Yes.
I'll have what she's having. And then the Amazon line from Madam Web, the second slam for Madam Web that
Mm.
evening. And
Yeah.
then going into this long bit where he just explains the entire plot of
Oh, feel the
Field of
drink. Oh my
Dreams.
God,
I
dude.
was dying. This was the funniest moment of the entire evening.
It's funny, like I've been listening to a lot of, Monday morning reviews and people talking about it and saying like maybe this was like his pitch for trying to
It
be
should
the,
be.
the host. Because yeah, he just had pitch perfect timing, and that was, I mean, that Field of Dreams killed me.
Yeah,
It
I
just
would love
killed
to
me.
see him host the next Academy Awards. Let's give Jimmy Kimmel a break,
Yeah.
and get
Yeah.
John Mulaney if he is willing. Of course, that's the problem, is finding somebody who is willing to host an award show.
So yeah, that's willing to host that. Oh, dude, this may have been one of my favorites. So the twins reunion, Danny
Yeah,
DeVito and Arnold
so good.
Schwarzenegger. Oh my God. Now, it was great just to see them come out.
Yeah,
I had no idea they were going to go down the Batman route.
yeah,
And then Michael Keaton sitting right there. Like, you could not have asked for a better moment than
yeah.
that. Oh
What a
my God.
great performance from Michael Keaton doing the Batman stare, wearing like the Bruce Wayne, Adam West ascot.
Ascot,
Like,
yep.
perfect, perfect. No
It was,
notes.
yeah, and then like Arnold Schwarzenegger looking over, it was like, you son of a bitch, he's right there. It's just, dude, I love that moment. I
Yeah.
absolutely love that moment. The next one I have is okay. Well, before we talk about I'm Just Ken, the performance, let's go to the in memoriam section. So the in memoriam section, and it seems like the Oscars can never get this right. For whatever
I don't
reason.
know. I feel like they've done okay in the past. I know they're always going to miss somebody, and that's going to upset some people.
Yeah,
And I've just kind of accepted that as a fact.
yeah,
I felt like last year they did an okay job. I think this year they tried to do something a little bit new. Of course, my vision is terrible. I need new glasses. My prescription is 5 years old. I'm embarrassed about that. And I could not read any of those names, and like I could barely make out their faces.
I mean, and then the fact of, and I thought about this while they were doing the performance of the song. It's like you have the names and the faces on the screen, but the camera is focusing on the dancers and the singers, And I'm like, well, that's not during this segment. That's not who we came to see. So it's
Too
like,
much going on.
it's
Too
way
much
too
going
much.
on.
It's way too much. And then at the very last minute, you throw up all those names at the end.
Yeah, not good. Not good. Not good.
Yeah,
Like
that
swing and a miss.
I'm
Like in the effort to try to succeed where they failed in the past, they failed even further.
yeah.
And it's unfortunate. Like I didn't think it was a travesty. It
No,
was just
no.
not great. It was one of the
Yeah,
lesser successful moments of the evening.
yeah, and I just wanted to point that out because it's always nice to remember the people that we've lost over the last year, and that's one of the parts that I really do look forward to seeing, and especially like when there are people that passed away that that you really enjoy as a performer that you grew up watching. Like when I was watching, I was thinking of Carl Weathers. I was like, please don't forget Carl Weathers. Don't forget Carl Weathers, and we got to see him. But
But
yeah,
I
that's
also like when
always
they highlight people I don't know, and it creates a
yeah,
curiosity in me. It didn't happen
absolutely.
this year because I didn't recognize anybody, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
was blind.
Um, so next thing I want to talk about, let's get to Best Picture, Al Pacino. I
Well,
mean,
what happened? What do you think
dude,
happened?
dude, I don't know, man. This I'm I'm trying to think of the best way to say this, and I don't want to I don't want to come off as ageist.
Uh-oh, it's already happening. You're
I
coming off
know.
as
All right,
ageist.
I'm gonna leave that one alone.
I
But
like
no,
to me like they set him up to fail is what I'm guessing. I don't know. Like because what was odd about that moment is
yeah,
clearly the show was running early, right? Like they were getting
yeah,
ready to announce Best Picture, and there was something like 15 minutes left to the broadcast. And so you did have Jimmy Kimmel come out and vamp for a little bit. He had
yeah,
that bit about Trump's review of the show. And I
yeah.
don't know if that was true or not. Did we ever get confirmation? Did
I
Trump
I
tweet about it?
I think he did. From what I've
Okay.
been hearing, that yeah, that because that wasn't staged. Like that was
No, no,
what
no.
it was well, no, that wasn't planned. I
Right,
think
right,
that
right.
was I think that was a live retort that he had to his tweet.
Like that was definitely the bit. I just wasn't sure if the bit was based on a reality. And then
Yeah.
after that, he, makes a little joke about like, okay, anybody who hasn't said anything tonight and would like to get on the stage, let's
Oh
line
yeah,
up and do
that's
so.
right.
So,
That's right.
he's spinning wheels there a little bit or
Yeah.
spinning plates. And then they finally get to Al Pacino and he comes out and like, did they not prep Al Pacino properly? Did they not have a rehearsal with Pacino?
Yeah.
There are no nominations read, and I know throughout the night we get clips of all the 10 best pictures,
Yeah.
but it just felt like here's Al Pacino, and then he's mumbling something about what are my eyes going to see here? Oh, and my eyes see Oppenheimer. And he's the
Yeah,
way
that
he
was
says Oppenheimer, he says it so quietly, so it's like, wait, what? What just got announced?
yeah,
It's
it
odd.
it just and he put out a statement today
Oh,
saying,
did he?
yeah, that the producers they just wanted him to read the winner. So I thought that was a bit odd that they didn't recap all
Yeah,
of
that's a mistake. That's a mistake.
all of the nominees, and I didn't know if that was on Pacino or if that was on the producers. But he says like, no, I was told by the producers like just come out and then just read the winner. So, and
Yeah.
I could see the Academy and the producers of that show doing that. So, I'm not going to put that on Pacino, but the way it came off in the moment, it was just like, wait a minute, this is
Like,
not
and I
what
like the idea of Pacino giving Nolan the award. They've worked together before
Somnia.
with Insomnia.
Yeah,
And like, Nolan had just won the Oscar for best directing. So it didn't seem like
yeah,
he wanted to speak, but they didn't really announce all the names of the producers. So
yeah.
I didn't quite know like who was that gentleman talking this, who
Hmm.
said the second bit. And it just felt like the Oppenheimer crew themselves didn't really have a plan and didn't know what was going on. So the final speeches didn't land the way I would have liked them to have landed.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because I mean we kind of knew that they were going to leave the stage to Emma Thomas, because if he had won, which he did, and we'll get to that's actually well, after we got one more moment, and then I want to get into some of the winners. But yeah, Emma Thomas, they kind of wanted to close out with her because of how much she's done as a producer for Christopher Nolan and all his films, they wanted to give that moment of the best picture to Emma Thomas. And I just thought, and even during that speech, not having her in the show, and then Charles Roven, the other producer, comes up and starts talking.
Charles Roven, thank you.
Yeah, and then I think it would have been just more fitting just to have Emma Thomas speak, and then that would have been
But
something
I
just
think they were also discombobulated by
yeah,
the win.
yeah, I
Like
agree.
no one really knew. Like, did they? When did they know that they had won? Like I've heard from people in the room, and they were saying like they couldn't even hear Pacino say Oppenheimer. It wasn't
Yeah.
until like the music swelled that.
I think that's probably when they knew. Yeah, that one was just
So
kind
that's
of
like it's discombobulating for everybody there.
yeah, yeah. So the last moment I wanted to talk about before we get into the winners and some of the speeches I wanted to talk about was I'm Just Ken, the performance by Ryan Gosling. I mean, that slayed me. I mean,
Yeah.
to have him start in the audience where he's sitting with the cowboy hat, and you see Billie Eilish and Margot Robbie like can't hold in their laugh, because I didn't know how this performed. Because when they said Ryan Gosling was going to perform this, and before it was announced that he was going to perform it, it always felt like he was a bit hesitant. Like this is kind of silly. This is a bit of a joke. Like, why am I doing this? But when you see that performance, they went all in.
Oh, they
And
committed.
and I think that's what makes it so great is the fact that there's a silliness to it, but the fact that the production value and all the actors, specifically Ryan Gosling as a performer, was all in on it. And that made it even kind of more kind of silly and great.
Yeah, they brought the house down. It was a
Yeah.
fantastic performance. And when they do Academy Award clip shows from this point forward, looking
Yeah.
back at the best shows, you're going to see that song, that performance.
Yes, yes. I mean, I think this is an all-timer for the history books. This is going
Yeah.
to be an Oscar moment that's going to be remembered forever. 50 years from now, they're going to be looking back at this. That was great. That was
Ryan
just
Gosling
absolutely
went
great.
like full Mickey Mouse Club, like
Yeah,
he is a song and dance man in the truest
yeah.
sense of the word.
So it was just so good. So absolutely, he killed it. So the winners, man. I guess we talked about Divine Joy Randolph. Her speech, I think, was probably one of the most sincere, and to really start the broadcast with that award and to have her win and come up there and you see how emotional she got, and then Paul Giamatti crying for her. I mean, it was just great. I mean, probably one of the best moments for a winner that I saw all night.
Yeah, I mean, it was fantastic, extremely well deserved. The Vegas odds had her as the winner, but also like she's the person that I think we both were gunning for when we were doing our preview show.
Yeah, yeah.
It's interesting looking at the winners this year. If you went by Vegas odds, and of course, like I
Mhm.
was looking at all that stuff right before the show started off, so I could fill out my own, party pool.
Yeah,
And the Vegas odds really didn't have it. I think they got like 15 out of 23 awards. There was actually like a lot of surprises below the line. It was
yeah,
mostly
yeah.
above the line that the Vegas odds had
Got right.
nailed, and they definitely had it picked here.
Yeah, yeah. We talked about this on our preview show. On our main show was, I mean, we usually during our main show we do a 30-minute show, and we usually pick one below the line topic, and you picked adapted screenplay. And adapted screenplay, Cord Jefferson ended up taking home the Oscar. And
Yeah,
again, this was one of my favorite speeches. So
same.
genuine, so passionate, and for him to be a first-time filmmaker and what he had to say about the industry, about how it is a risk-adverse industry, and trying to bank on these $200 million films, and we need to really start, like, let's make 20 $10 million films. Let's give new filmmakers a chance, because there could be the next Martin Scorsese, the next Christopher Nolan out there, but you don't give them a chance, because you're making these 100 $200 million movies, and you're not giving these other filmmakers And if it wasn't for him being able to have this opportunity, then who knows if we would if he would even be on this stage. And I
Right.
love what he had to say about that, man.
Yeah, the world doesn't need more Madam Webs. The world needs more American fictions.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, and so I'm glad you highlighted that on our preview show because that was one award I was so happy to see him win.
Yeah, I was
Absolutely.
very, very happy for him, and extremely well deserved.
Yeah,
I thought for sure it was going to go to Oppenheimer,
yeah.
and again, I wouldn't have been super mad about that, but I was ecstatic that Cord Jefferson took it.
Yeah, and then the one I talked about was Godzilla minus one, visual effects, and they end up winning, which was nice to see. And I was so happy and so thrilled and happy to see them go up there with all their Godzilla toys and their figures to go up there and take that award. And I thought that was great. And I know there's been some discussion, you talked about, I think it really came down to between Godzilla minus one and the creator. And I liked what you said about the creator as far as like there's a organic nature to the filmmaking of that I think that Hollywood needs to adapt more of. And I think one of the reasons I think maybe the creator didn't take it home is just because it just wasn't a well-received movie. But I do agree that between those two movies, I think it should have went to one of them. I'm kind of glad that Godzilla got it just
Oh,
because
of course.
yeah, just because of what they were able to do with the minimum budget and the minimum resources with how many visual effects artists they had, and just like I said, just that process and the pipeline that they did. But I think you can't really ignore what Gareth Edwards did with the creator, and also the process of being able to create those visual effects as well.
Godzilla, after 70 years, gets his Academy Award. That
Yeah,
movie costs, I think, like $15 million.
yeah,
Looks like $150 million movie.
yeah,
And it's more than its special effects. Like
very much
it's
so.
a brilliant, heartfelt character piece as much as it is a Godzilla picture.
Exactly, because it's not just built around the spectacle of this other visual effects. The visual effects serve the story, and I think that also played into that win as well.
And
Um,
its budget, probably.
yeah, that too, yeah, most definitely. Oppenheimer. Let's just talk about Oppenheimer. Big night. They take home 7 awards.
Yeah.
And some of this was kind of predictable, because we had talked about this before. But yeah, and like I said, I'm not saying I'm lukewarm on the movie. I've rewatched the movie a couple of times, and it's funny, man. I rewatching that movie, I like the last hour of that movie a lot.
Yeah. Same.
More so, and it's so funny because I've seen a lot of reviewers talk about how the movie falls apart in like the last 45 minutes to an hour, and I'm like, that's the best part of the movie.
Yeah, opposite. I feel the opposite of that. Like we're totally aligned on that. And I think it's because, for me, the last hour is far less explored than the first
Mm,
hour and a half, really.
yeah,
But like, in rewatching Oppenheimer, it's like an incredible feat. And,
yeah,
you know, it's hard to argue against its wins in this
yeah.
category. And it feels like, a classic Academy Awards Best Picture winner, when they were good. I mean, that's like we've had some great winners in the past. I don't like Everything Everywhere All at Once is one of my
Yeah,
all-time favorite movies, and I
yeah,
never imagined that it would have won Best Picture last year.
yeah,
And it's so good that I forget that it did. Uh,
yeah,
but
yeah.
but this is like a classic win for the Academy Awards, and it's a good movie. It's not my favorite film up there. I
No,
would have liked
no.
Past Lives, but Past Lives just didn't have the reach that Oppenheimer did.
I want to talk a little bit about some of the categories that it won because I didn't get a chance to talk about it on the main show because of time constraints. But now we're here on Zoom on our own YouTube channel, so now I can kind of talk openly about one of the categories. Now I think it did deserve the win, which was Ludwig Göransson for best score, because I think in that category it was definitely the best score out of everything that was
It
nominated.
was very good.
Yeah, yeah. But okay, this is my time that I'm gonna, put out my, and I hate Spider-Verse. And Godzilla Minus One, I thought were two magnificent scores. I love American Fiction. I cannot remember that score to save my life. John Williams is a legend. I think
Yeah.
maybe Indiana Jones is that's why that was nominated. I know I'm sounding like a hater right now, but I just absolutely thought that Daniel Pemberton, we talk about snubs. I believe
You're still mad.
I believe that was a clear snub.
Yeah.
And I think that the Godzilla Minus One score is extremely underrated. That is a
Yeah, but I think like
great score.
could the Godzilla minus one score even be nominated because it uses so much of the original Godzilla score? Isn't there something in the rules
Mm,
regarding that? I
maybe
feel
you're
like
right.
there is. It's one of the reasons why Carter Burwell's score for True Grit was never nominated, if I recall correctly,
Okay, okay.
because it
Well, that if
incorporates so much older music.
I see. Okay, well, if that's the case, then I just want to acknowledge that Minus One had a great score, but Spider-Verse, we talk about snubs. I just think that that was just it just blows my mind. But okay, I'm getting off my high horse. That's all I wanted to say about
How
that.
did you feel about Spider-Verse not getting Best Animated Feature?
You know what? That was another thing I wanted to talk about was animated. So I kind of figured Boy and the Heron. I keep saying Heron. It's Heron.
Yeah, yeah, the boy and the
Boy and
Heron.
Boy and the Heron was going to end up winning it, but so it didn't really bother me too much because I kind of saw the tea leaves heading in Hayao Miyazaki's direction, and which again, if this is his final film, I think it is well deserved. It's a beautifully animated movie. The
Yeah,
movie
he's the
was
goat. He's the
yeah,
goat. He
yeah,
can't
yeah.
be mad.
The movie really wasn't for me. Going, and there's something else I wanted to mention too, now that we're talking about Miyazaki, was Wes Anderson. I wanted to mention that, I sometimes like it's an acquired taste for me and Miyazaki, the same way that it is for Wes Anderson, because Wes Anderson won his first Oscar for live action short. But yeah, Miyazaki, I think if this is his last film, it's well deserved. Like I say, even if I'm not the biggest fan of that film, of course I was rooting for Across the Spider-Verse, but because I saw the way it was kind of the trajectory of, people talking about The Boy and the Heron, I kind of assumed that that was going to end up winning.
Yeah, I'm happy with it. I don't think Vegas Odds had it. I think they did
Really?
have it for Across the Spider Verse. I do think that if we're talking about pushing uh, advancements in animation, Across the Spider Verse definitely should get that
Mhm.
deal. But I do also think that The Boy and the Heron does things that previous Miyazaki films do not.
Okay.
He went out and had other people animating the film. He loosened the reins a little bit on this movie,
Okay.
and I think you can see that effect in the animation. And I
Yeah.
liked the varied style of The Boy and the Heron. I definitely like that movie a lot more than you did.
Yeah.
But I mean, Across the Spider Verse, I'm a mark for it. So
But I'm curious to actually rewatch The Boy and the Heron because I want to see it because I heard a lot about the dubbed version because I know they bring a lot of A-list actors and I've heard from a lot of people that this dubbed version of The Boy and the Heron is actually pretty fantastic. And I saw the subtitled version,
same.
which I'm mostly always prefer watching a subtitled version, but maybe watching the dubbed version, especially hearing how good it is. I'll be curious to rewatch that movie again. Because I like Miyazaki. I like some of his other films. And again, like I said, sometimes he's an acquired taste, and I don't really kind of always, you know, really get a lot of his movies in the way that I talk about Wes Anderson a lot. But I mean, you're right. He's the GOAT. I mean,
Yeah.
his movies are just absolutely gorgeous and beautifully animated.
You've
Beautifully
been the master of transition tonight, though, Brian, because now you've mentioned Wes Anderson, and we got to talk about his first Academy Award win with
Yeah.
Henry Sugar.
Now, I didn't see the short film, which is on Netflix now. So I'm
It's good.
assuming did you see it?
Yeah, it's good.
All right, so I'll let you talk about it. Take it away. But yeah,
Well,
this is his first award. This is his first Oscar.
and he issued a statement today saying that he was, I think in Germany, getting
Yeah, I
ready
think
to begin production of his latest movie,
yeah.
and that's why he couldn't be there to accept the
Yeah.
award. But it is odd that the short film category is where he gets his first Academy
Yeah,
Award,
yeah,
considering he's never really found any recognition at the Oscars for his feature length work. And
yeah.
when he shows up with his movies in the Netflix productions of these short films against the other, live action short filmmakers, it feels almost unfair or not in the spirit of the category where these movies are
Yeah.
usually made for chump change.
Yeah, yeah, because a lot of times these short categories, whether it's documentary short, animation short, or live action short, these are the categories where you see a lot of upcoming filmmakers because these are where filmmakers like kind of learn the craft and
Or
start
pitch
cutting,
themselves, right? Like,
pitch
check out
themselves.
what I
Yeah,
could do with
yeah,
this, 20 minutes.
exactly,
Give me a feature
exactly.
film. And Wes
Yeah.
Anderson doesn't need that.
He doesn't, which it felt a little odd, but I'm still happy for him because he's been a filmmaker in this industry for a long time, and he's a very revered filmmaker that a lot of people love working with. And for him to finally have an Oscar, I mean, he can put that as part of his title, an Oscar winning filmmaker. So
Yeah, yeah. I do wonder, will he ever get one for one of his
for
longer
features.
efforts? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see. I mean, he's a young man, so I think he has a long career ahead of him. And like I said, and his movies have can be Oscar darlings. You know what I'm saying?
Sure, sure, sure.
Yeah,
We just need to find his The Departed.
yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying. He might be Scorsese. He might get his Oscar when he's like 60 some years old. For a movie that's probably not as good as some of his previous
Yeah.
works.
Or his works that will come after, like Killers of the Flower Moon and The Irishman, I would say, are better than The Departed. There, I've said it. And the Killers of the Flower Moon got completely shut out last night.
Yeah, so let's talk about shutouts real quick before we go. Oh yeah, that's pretty almost. One more thing I wanted to talk about, but yeah, let's talk. I think there was two movies that were shut out. So we had Killers of the Flower Moon and Maestro, that were
Yep.
the two movies that were shut out.
And
Um,
there was like Past Lives. Did Past Lives get anything? No.
no, Past Lives didn't. I mean, they were nominated for two awards, but I think yeah, for the movies that were kind of nominated for, I guess what, four, five, six awards, but I didn't
And
really think
Barbie only
Past
got one
one.
award, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
best song.
for the best song, Billie
Which
Eilish,
was
which was a great performance and a great song.
Yeah, I love the performance. Billie Eilish just has a great voice. I mean, and she's 22 years old and
Yeah,
has two Oscars now, which
yeah,
is
yeah.
crazy to me. And she has more Oscars than Martin Scorsese. So
But I was crushed. Oh, damn. Damn, dude. But I was crushed that Killers of the Flower Moon got nothing.
yeah.
Uh, I was trying to remember on our preview show,
Hmm.
who did we ultimately pick to win Best Actress? Did we pick Emma Stone or did we pick Lily Gladstone? I
Well,
think we went with Emma Stone.
now you're the king of transitions because that was
Yeah.
the last one I wanted to talk about. And yeah, going in our preview show, and I think you had convinced me, Lily Gladstone, because the whole award season, I kept saying Emma Stone, and then the SAG Awards happened, and and Lily Gladstone takes home the SAG, and that's voted on by the peers and that whole acting branch of the Academy. So I was like, and then when we had our preview show, you had talked about how, she was kind of leading and had the Vegas odds. So you convinced me. I was like, you know what? Lily Gladstone might actually take this home. And so I was thinking that she had a shot. And going to Best Actress and Emma Stone, first of all, she's great. And
Yeah,
her
there's no
her
denying.
genuine shocked reaction to
Yeah.
winning, even when I think a lot of people kind of had her as the favorite. I thought that was just so endearing to see her and her speech, and I don't know, and the love that she gave to Lily because of like, them being on this award circuit the whole time and kind of been cheering for each other. And I love the way Emma Stone cheered for her at the SAG Awards when she won. So I don't know, it was just something about Emma Stone's reaction and her speech that I really, really enjoyed seeing.
And she is that movie, and it is
Yeah.
such an incredibly unique performance. And uh she just steals it. Like
Yeah.
you can't be upset about Emma Stone winning Best Actress. At the same time, I was personally disappointed that Lily Gladstone didn't get it, and
Yeah.
how that just added to Killers of the Flower Moon receiving no
Zero.
recognition whatsoever, which
Yeah.
mirrors everything that happened with The Irishman. And I kind of understood why The Irishman ended up with a big donut. I'm less
Okay.
understanding how Killers of the Flower Moon got its donut. At the same time, these movies live beyond the Oscars and will live into legend, and that's a okay. People are still going
Yeah.
to remember Martin Scorsese and these two films in particular. Well, I think they're definitely going to remember Killers of the Flower Moon
Yeah.
fondly in history, and only weirdos like myself will go like, ah, but The Irishman's pretty good.
I need you're selling the Irishman a little bit more to me. I need to rewatch that movie. I don't.
I've yet to encounter anybody in real life, away from the online world, that love The Irishman as much as I do.
I was watching something today and they had an amazing and weird stat that I think since Scorsese won his best director, I believe is yeah, which was in 2006. Every movie that he's directed has basically been shut. He's been like 0 for 24 from Wolf of Wall Street to The Irishman to Killers of the Flower Moon has been had multiple nominations and taken home not one single award since he's won Best Director. He's like,
It's
oh,
crazy because I feel
it's
like
crazy.
Scorsese is one of those directors who's almost getting better than the work that we often laud as his best work.
That's his best work.
I just think he's freaking
Yeah,
unbeatable.
yeah. It's
I'm a
getting better.
fanboy.
It's getting better with age. Well, let me not make any digs. I'm not going to do that.
Hey, 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 hey! You
No,
ageist?
not on Scorsese. I was gonna prop him up by making a dig at somebody else, but I'm
No,
not
don't do that.
gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. I gotta no, I'm good. We'll see his movie come out later this year. We can judge later on with that. So
Oh, gotcha,
but
gotcha.
that's pretty much everything. Last thing, and I know we talked about it, best actor, Paul Giamatti, Cillian Murphy. We said it was between those two. And it's funny too, man, because Oppenheimer was kind of like the odds-on favorite to win Best Picture, I started thinking to myself, like, yeah, I think Killian is going to take this because you can't really give Best Picture to Oppenheimer and not because he is J. Robert Oppenheimer. So how could you not give him Best Actor, but then award the movie when basically he kind of is the movie? You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, but I just love Paul Giamatti and I love that performance, and I kind of wanted to see him win. But as we were leading up to that category, I was like, yeah, I think Killian is
Like what was interesting is, earlier on in the show, as we were going through the below the line categories, and Poor Things started to take awards that were suspected for or were
Barbie.
expected for Barbie
Yeah,
or for Oppenheimer.
yeah.
I was like, oh, maybe we're gonna like spread the wealth a little bit more. And when
Mhm.
they were going through the nominations for Best Actor, like Jeffrey Wright got like this huge round of applause, and I suddenly had like this little hope in my heart, and it was like maybe Jeffrey Wright could even get Best Actor. Maybe Paul Giamatti and Cillian Murphy split the vote, but
Yeah.
but no.
No. Went as predicted.
Yep.
Yeah, man. I look, I'm just gonna reiterate what I said at the beginning of this video. Is yeah, I really enjoyed this ceremony. To me, I just think it kind of just harkens back to just the love of film, just the love of movies again. And it makes me excited for the upcoming year of movies. And I just hope that the Academy can kind of continue what they've built on this year. And not saying that it's been terrible in the past, but I think that this show is kind of like I don't know, it kind of feels like this is a step in the right direction as far as like getting back to where we were kind of like pre-pandemic. And I think we went through so many things going through the pandemic, going through these strikes, and how the world has looked at Hollywood and looked at movies and looked at cinema, and with the streaming wars and everything like that, and our movie theater is going to make it, and then I don't know, like
All those questions are still there, Bryan.
they are. No, and you're right, they are. But I think that this awards show just kind of highlighted how much um we as fans love the movies. And I don't know, it was just a perfect example of that.
I haven't heard what the ratings were yet on this year's awards, but I think having films like Barbie and Oppenheimer in there must have helped, right? I thought it was a fantastic show. I'm extremely forgiving when it comes to the Academy Awards, though. I pretty much like all of the Academy Awards, even the bad
Yeah.
ones. And I look forward to future ceremonies. I look forward to future ceremonies also starting early. I liked the
Yes.
start time being 1 hour earlier than usual.
Yeah.
And, in my heart of hearts, I want a longer show.
Hmm.
Like, I don't want a shorter show. But again, ABC has its demands.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. Yeah, all right. Yeah, so yeah, another Oscar season, another award season, another year in the books, man. 2023 is over.
All
So
right,
we
Bryan.
look
So recklessly, we have to pick what the best winner of next year's Academy Awards is going to be.
oh,
What's the best picture? Is it Dune Part Two?
ooh, oh, you're throwing a curveball at me,
Is
man.
it
Okay.
Furiosa?
Ah,
Does
you
George
know,
Miller get what he was denied for Fury Road?
hmm. It's interesting because could we see Furiosa actually get a Best Picture nomination? Who would have thought Fury Road would have got a Best Picture? If again, this is sight unseen because we haven't seen these movies. We have seen Dune Part Two, and I think that even with it coming out in March, and I don't subscribe to this whole like if a movie comes out earlier in the year, then it's going to be forgotten
Yeah,
around.
everything everywhere all at once, past
Yeah.
lives.
Exactly.
People have
So
got a
no,
memo.
yeah. So we'll still be talking about Dune Part Two this time next year, and I think it is going to get a lot of awards, a lot of below the line awards, and possibly above the line awards for Dune Part Two.
Will
Will it
Madam
be?
Web be mentioned at any point of the ceremony next year
I would
as a
hope.
joke or as a nomination?
Oh God, no. On the last part, as a joke, I would hope that we're past Madam Web. I would hope that at this point in my mind, that movie is forgotten.
Yeah, we'll
Hopefully,
be telling Craven the Hunter jokes at that
there you go.
Academy
There you go.
Awards.
Venom 3.
Yeah,
That's
Venom
closer
3.
to award season. So we'll have other Sony Marvel movies to skewer around award season. Yeah, I think Dune Part 2 is one that's going to be talked about. It's kind of hard to say. There's a lot of movies that are coming out of Sundance, that's coming out of South by Southwest that's going on right now. Those are the ones I'm excited to see that we could possibly be talking about by the end of the year. But yeah, some of the bigger movies. I'm thinking about things that are coming out. I don't know. I don't know. The only thing I think is could be a sure bet is Dune Part Two. What do you think we're going to be
I,
talking about in a year?
I'm guessing and hoping that we will certainly have some Dune Part Two conversation around the below the line stuff.
Yeah.
Will the Academy remember Denis Villeneuve for Best Director or Dune Part Two for Best Film, Best Picture? Like that seems unlikely to me. But Dune Part One got a lot of love.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I think it will. And the way people are responding to Dune, I could definitely. Again, this movie got pushed, and if it came out last year, it could have shaken some things up this year for this Academy Award season. So I mean, again, because it comes out early in the year, I don't think it's going to be forgotten about. And I think they're going to be recognized, especially like you say, for a lot of those technical awards, those below the line awards. I think it's going to be talked about. I have to look at the schedule, but I don't know what else is coming out. I don't know. Tom Hardy for the bike riders.
The challengers, Zendaya.
Yeah, maybe.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
We'll see. That's the excitement about it. But I know one thing though, man. I'm excited for the next 12 months or however many more months, 9 months we have of
Yeah.
movies this year. So yeah, after coming off of this, I'm excited for the summer season, the fall season, and the awards movies for next towards the end of this year.
And as we always say, the Academy Awards is really just an excuse to talk about movies. We love
Really
talking about
is, man.
movies.
Like I said, I love movies, and it's just another reason for us to talk about movies. So yeah, so that I think this officially puts a cap on 2023, man. So
It's over.
yes, it's over. It's over. But we still have those movies to watch in our DVD collections. Do people still buy DVDs? I don't know.
Yeah, they better be physical media, Blu-rays, 4Ks. Get them, get them, get them.
Yes, yes, let's do it. Let's do it. All right. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me and Brad. I want to thank you guys for watching. Make sure you follow us on the social medias, on Instagram at BNB Movie Reviews. Make sure you follow Brad at Mouth Dork on all social medias. You can follow me at B Young Video and follow our main show. It's on the PGC TV YouTube, which is PGC TV Online. That's where we have our Siskel and Ebert style review show, kind of bringing back that review show of the old days.
Are
Um,
you Siskel and I'm Ebert, or are you Ebert and I'm Siskel?
ooh, I think who was more harsh on that show? Was it Siskel?
I feel like Siskel. Yes, yes,
Okay, I'll say you're Cisco. I'm Ebert. I'll go with that. I'll go with that.
okay.
Yeah, I could. I'll be on the defense. Like when you come hard, attacking Madam Web. I'm like, whoa, 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 wait a minute now. It's bad, but let's look at no, no, no. But yeah, so check us out over there where we do a 30-minute show, Cisco and Ebert style, bringing back some of those old style review shows, honoring that style. So yeah, that's going to do it for us. And yeah, we will see you on the next video. Peace.